So this is the belated recognition by the corrupt newspaper, recognizing alpacas and giving a space to Geronimo and his mom, Helen. Geronimo has got two moms. One is Helen in Gloucestershire, and the other one is Leone in New Zealand. So that's the belated recognition, page 34 of the newspaper today, Thursday, the 12th of August 2021. And we shall be denouncing and diagnosing Keir Starmer in due course. For the Daily Mail's, page 23, the Daily Mail's cartoonist Paul Thomas has got this cartoon about Geronimo saving Brenda, that is Queen Elizabeth II. The Queen Elizabeth II is said to be saying in the caption, one, that is Queen Elizabeth, once borrowed Geronimo to keep the spotlight off Andrew. That's the cartoon in the Daily Mail on page 23. It's a cartoon by Paul Thomas. So that's the cartoon by Paul Thomas. And it says, well, it is saying, the Brenda is saying that one has borrowed the Geronimo to keep the spotlight of Andrew. And this headline makes it look like that it's the political death for Keir Starmer. Sadly, Keir Starmer politically must die, says Geronimo. That's the sadly, Keir Starmer politically is dead, confirms the evidence. Now, let's see what the Daily Mirror, if it is saying anything. I'm looking hard through the pages of the Daily Mirror, which is in the overall context of our diagnosis of Fleet Street, is called the Daily Error, which is stupid. And I haven't got the intelligence or the sense to include anything for Geronimo, despite the fact that the intervention of Kelly Holmes, the Olympics medalist, in support of Geronimo, would usually have convinced the morons of the Daily Mirror to include a piece on Geronimo. But the morons are not showing and the scar is peddling the politically dead Keir Starmer. So we didn't look at the Financial Times the last 2 days. And we shall see if the Financial Times has got this sense to recognize Geronimo. And here is the Financial Crimes piece on page 8. Private schools, that is British private schools, owners bow to Beijing, that is, they're giving places to Chinese students. The Financial Crimes hasn't got the sense to recognize the principles of Geronimo. And there is an editorial in the Financial Crimes about India. What is it saying? Disclosures that thousands of people worldwide may have been targeted with spyware from Israel's NSO have sparked a political furore in several countries, but nowhere more so than in India. Now, the Financial Crimes editorial is typically stupid. The Financial Crime says about India that India basks in its reputation as the world's largest democracy. Well, India has no reputation as the world's largest democracy because the democracy is suppressed in India. And the Financial Crimes, rest of the editorial about India is completely diminished by the stupidity of its assertion that India has a reputation as the world's largest democracy. And it says the India's Supreme Court is now hearing journalists' pleas for an independent court supervised investigation into the Pegasus allegations. Ideally, an inquiry would include judges, representatives of civil society, and technology specialists. But a credible probe capable of getting to the truth is badly needed if India is to live up to the democratic credentials it has long touted. Well, the touting is the word that is appropriate, absolutely appropriate. So touting is indeed And the daily bribing Boris graph has got a long piece heading or headed and this is headed Chaos Reigns at GB News as Andrew locks horns with chief executive over large to the right. So it seems that all the hypes we have right from the beginning consistently condemned GB News and said that it is going to be off air sooner. So what they're saying in the daily driving Boris graph is that insiders say veteran presenter Andrew Neil is mulling quitting the channel, writes Ben Woods. And the piece is ending with this paragraph. But should Andrew announce that he is not coming back, I think they will lose some very senior people, and that will be a crisis for them. So the GB News remains doomed. And the fact that, led by donkeys, the campaign that successfully created a campaign style against Brexit by pointing out the corruption and the lying by Brexiteers on billboards, has successfully campaigned to stop Sainsbury's advertising on GB News. And that shows that GB News is vulnerable. And the Times, we're checking the Times if it has got any recognition today for Geronimo. So there is no follow-up, there is no reply in the Times letters to the lying criminal letter that it carried against Geronimo yesterday, I think. Let's see if the Sun has got a follow-up piece for Geronimo. It has got pages 10 and 11 with Dame Kelly. exclusive on Geronimo. So that's Geronimo being supported by the Olympian Kelly Holmes. And we shall be looking at the piece by Kelly Holmes in that. So what the piece about Kelly Holmes says is that she has got 5 alpacas of her own. They are named Licorice, Cream Caramel, Polo, Truffle, and Toffee. And she has had them in her kind of space, her farm in Kent, for more than 13 years. The former middle distance runner who won gold in the 800 meters and 1500 meters at the 2004 Athens Games is the latest celebrity to call for Geronimo to be spared. She joins Joanna Lumley, Chris Peckham, and Stanley Johnson in calling for a government U-turn. Earlier this week, Environment Secretary George Eustice insisted and Dame Kelly said alpacas are not farmyard animals. They are not sheep or cows. They are pets and part of the family. They are wonderful for your mental well-being and have great character and personality. You can even take them for a walk like a dog. I should know, as I have had 6 for 13 years, with one sadly passed away last year. So I know exactly how Helen feels. I can see her point. And to me, she has a very valid argument. The tests are flawed, and it looks to me as if the government is just going with the law and not the science. I would urge them to look again and carry out another test just to be sure. I don't see the harm in having another test because it looks to me there is a chance Geronimo is healthy and he will be put down needlessly. Helen explained to Dame Kelly how Geronimo had tested positive for bovine tuberculosis after being imported from New Zealand in 2007. Sorry, reading that again. Helen explained to Dame Kelly how Geronimo had tested positive for bovine tuberculosis after being imported from New Zealand in 2017. But she pointed out how he had been injected with a vaccine called tuberculin, which has antibodies that give dodgy results. Dame Kelly said that seems a very real reason to have another test carried out just be sure. If the process hasn't been done correctly and there are question marks about tests giving false positives, it's only fair it should be repeated. I don't see why DEFRA can't allow this. Surely if there is any doubt, then a fresh test should be carried out to be absolutely certain. The athletic superstar added, "My alpacas have helped me through lockdown, and last year I was doing live Instagrams with them every morning. I had hundreds of messages of support from people who said it had helped them through the months that we were all staying at home and feeling low." Yesterday, veterinary nurse Helen said, "It's absolutely magic. The Dame Kelly's on board and backing Geronimo and I." She was in touch and wanted to know everything that had happened and wanted to see the government response. After careful consideration, she has seen that there is no signs in what they are saying. I'm really pleased to hear that she is supporting us and to hear she is with us tooth and nail. To use her words is such a fantastic feeling. They think they can get away with bullying us, but we won't let it happen. They know what they are doing is wrong. I'm delighted Dame Kelly took the time and the trouble to check out both sides of the argument and come out in support of us. Helen fought a £50,000 High Court case, which ended last month with a warrant for Geronimo to be put down being issued. Now that is something we'll explain again, and we say that that is wrong. That reference to the High Court is wrong. It is misleading, it is incomplete, and it doesn't refer to most of the legal kind of errors and falsehoods and corruption built in the system. See, the Daily Star, let's check the Now, this daily star, which you call the daily star because of his stupidity, is saying that Geronimo's owner, Helen MacDonald, who imported him from New Zealand, believes the tests are returning false positives. Last week, Miss MacDonald lost her final appeal to save her beloved pet at the High Court in London. Now, that's not true, because we assert that the High Court didn't follow the legal obligations that the High Court is under. And we refer here to the many obligations that every agency of the state that is a signatory to all these international treaties, conventions, declarations is under. To uphold the rights of the claimant and also to show that the court has actually asked to be shown independent evidence that the UK state agency like the DEFRA has recognized due process and has followed the due process. The court has not done that. The court has not asked to be shown that DEFRA has complied with the due process. Because as we said, the due process, here is the definition of due process, let's say. Due process is the legal requirement that the state must respect all legal rights that are owed to a person. All means that we cannot begin to read out or go through the list of the all in a program of this length, because it would take hours. So if the daily scar was intelligent and was following the list that the state must respect, so the state must respect all legal rights that are owed to a person. The due process balances the power of law of the land and protects the individual person from it. When a person, read that again. When a government harms a person without following the exact course of the law, this constitutes a due process violation which offends the rule of law. And when it comes to rule of law, the rule of law is defined in the Oxford English Dictionary as the authority and influence of law in society, especially when viewed as a constraint on individual and institutional behavior. Hence, the principle whereby all members of a society, including those in government, are considered equally subject to publicly disclosed legal codes and processes. The term rule of law is closely related to constitutionalism as well as Rechtsstaat and refers to a political situation, not to any specific legal rule. Use of the phrase can be traced to 16th century Britain. In the following century, the Scottish theologian Samuel Rutherford employed it in an arguing against the divine right of kings. John Locke wrote that freedom in society means being subject only to laws made by a legislature that apply to everyone, with a person being otherwise free from both government and private restrictions upon liberty. The rule of law was further popularized in the 19th century by British jurist A.V. Dicey. However, the principle, if not the phrase itself, was recognized by ancient thinkers. Aristotle wrote, "It is more proper that law should govern than any one of the citizens." The rule of law implies that every person is subject to the law, including people who are lawmakers, law enforcement officials, and judges. In this sense, it stands in contrast to tyranny or oligarchy, where the rulers are held above the law. Lack of the rule of law can be found in both democracies and monarchies when there is neglect or ignorance of the law. The rule of law is more apt to decay if a government has insufficient corrective mechanisms for restoring it. Additionally, this will allow for the breeding of corruption, making it even more difficult to restore it as time goes on, and corruption embeds itself deeper into the government system. So this is the kind of indication, representative indication of the evidence of, if you like, importance being attached to the obligations owed by the state to the individual on due process, rule of law, and the reason being that otherwise society will go into darkness. So what we shall be doing is continuing again in the next parts. This part is ending at around 1 hour. We shall see exactly how long we have been on air about